Hello, I'm Eric.
And I'm Melissa.
And it is that time of year again.
It's PRGE time.
That's right. PRGE has been a big focus of our retro gaming collecting for many years now. Mm-hmm. It's sort of the thing that kicked off our YouTube channel.
That's right.
And
it's what really started a huge increase in our retro gaming collecting.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So we always like to do videos around PRGE time. Last year we did a video on how to prepare.
How to prepare, yep. And so you can check that out.
Check that out.
And this
year, since we've gone to PRGE for 6 years now,
6 years.
2019 will be our 7th, we decided to do a look back at the best of PRGE. Mm-hmm. And but before we get into that, I actually, because I have a spreadsheet of the entire collection, I wanted to get some data and some charts. So I wanted to see.
You got to put up those charts.
I know. I wanted to see what kind of impact PRGE has had on our game collecting over the last 6 years. And so I grabbed the numbers of games that we bought at PRGE and looked at the percentage that those games represent of the total yearly purchase. And I found some interesting things. PRGE has had a pretty serious impact, considering that it's only 2 days. For buying stuff out of the 365-day year.
Yep.
Even in its worst year, which was the first year we went to PRGE, 2013, 1 out of every 7 games we bought that year came from PRGE.
Yeah.
And at the most, in 2015, I don't know what we were doing.
I don't know either.
1 out of every 24%.
Yeah.
So 1 out of every 4 games we bought the entire year, we bought during PRGE.
Holy cow.
So, probably in 2015, that's a combination of kind of reducing our overall because 2013 and 14 we had a huge number of games bought.
Yes.
We were kind of trimming that down in 2015, but still 24%. That's a big number. 2016, the number went down. That's because we had a really big purchase in 2016
that was a good
that
one.
wiped out a lot of our budget.
Yeah.
But still, we're averaging probably close to 20%. 1 out of every 5 games we buy during the year comes from PRGE.
Wow.
So, with that out of the way, let's talk about some of the best experiences we have had at PRGE in the 6 years that we've attended.
Oh my goodness.
And so, why don't we start with
that one?
This one.
All right.
The first year we went.
The first year we went, right? It was in 2013.
Yep.
We were getting into YouTube.
Yes.
And we were watching YouTube, we should say. And there were some YouTubers, some other retro gaming YouTubers that we watched a lot and that were coming to PRGE that we thought it would be kind of cool to like meet and say hello.
Yeah.
And stuff.
I mean, I'm gonna mention their names. I mean, it's just a bunch.
Name drop them, baby.
We were watching, I guess what we consider to be sort of the classic retro gaming YouTubers. I mean, certainly there was Metal Jesus Rocks, who was the first person we saw. The Game Chasers, Johnny Millennium, Alpha Omega Sin was there. We also had some of the guys that we really enjoyed watching too, like Retro Liberty. There's Nest Complex, Vintage Video Game Geek, and hopefully I'm not forgetting any. But those are the guys. Pat the NES Punk. These are all guys or people that we had been watching that we met at PRGE the very first year, and we probably made a little bit of an effort to try to meet them.
Right.
But we met them all. We introduced ourselves to all of them. And many of them we still talk to. We still talk to. So that was really exciting because we had been watching, of course, and this is an exciting part for everybody at PRGE. The YouTubers always draw a big crowd. Yeah. But it was really exciting for the first time to go to this big event. Not only have all these games available, but meet some of these people that we've been watching for about a year. It turns out that we kind of got into YouTube right after PRGE 2012. So we had almost a whole year to wait. That was very exciting. All right. Number 2. This is something that I like a lot in recent years. Yeah. On Saturday nights, they have an auction. And we went to the auction. We've gone there twice in the 6 years that we've gone there. We've gone there twice. And both times, the prices just went way out of our range really, really quickly. We went the first year just to witness it. And then a few years later we went because there was a Master System kiosk that I was interested in that went for maybe 3 times my budget.
575, 600,
700,
700, 725,
800.
800.
So instead on Saturday nights we found out that they've been doing a trivia.
Yeah.
And it turns out I'm not too shabby at trivia. So I like it because I do well and we win prizes. And we've won some nice prizes there. So I always enjoy doing that. And they're doing it again. Now this year it appears to be Nintendo focused. So we'll see how well. But I'd like to attend. We'll see about the trivia. And I've been watching the auction list too.
Yeah.
And there is some good stuff in the auction list, but really it's out of my price range. So there's not much point in going there.
Yeah.
So the trivia night has been a lot of fun.
We'll have more
for
fun
us.
there, I think.
Okay, and then of course, in the last 4 years since 2015,
yes,
we have been a part of the Cartridge Club.
Yes, and Cartridge Club members have started coming to the Portland Retro Gaming Expo, and we have been hanging out with them.
Yeah.
We've been meeting up with them. We've been having Cartridge Club dinners. We have one scheduled for Friday night again this year. And so that's really brought the show like just even more enjoyment because you're there with your friends and they come all the way out here and we hang out all weekend.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's been a lot of fun. That's been great. I mean, having those guys show up has really made the expo just to the next level of fun because you've got your friends that you get to see only a couple times.
And we've done we've done silly things like the $10 challenge.
Yeah, sure.
We had a $10 challenge back in 2016.
Yeah.
Where we bought one item or a couple items that added up to $10, and we were judged on who had the best deal.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, sort of an impartial judge did the best deal. Yeah, that was fun. That was fun. We didn't win. Spoiler, but it was still a lot of fun. And then the last thing I want to mention is every year one of the big things about PRGE, in addition to the vendor and the arcade, is that they have these panels. And we already mentioned that the YouTubers always draw a big crowd. But I like to see, and not all the YouTubers do this, but I like to see sort of prepared content.
Right.
Where somebody's coming in and they're going to do a talk, a lecture about something related to retro gaming. And one year, this happened, actually, a lot of the old Atari guys show up. And one year, David Crane was there, and he was supposed to be there with, I think, Gary Kitchen, who had to back out at the last minute. So Mr. Crane created a presentation about how he developed the game Grand Prix, which is not a game I was very familiar with. But he did this presentation for how he developed this game and the issues that he had to work through and how he used the Atari's limited hardware to make this game. And it was fascinating. For somebody like me who's sort of into the technical aspects, this was fantastic. And I always remember that panel as being one of my favorite panels. Yeah. And the beauty of the panels at PRGE is that there is a YouTuber whose name I'll put up. It's Hans. He records these things. And so he's got a channel, and you can find a lot of these presentations for these panels online on YouTube. So I always enjoy going to the panels. David Crane's one on Grand Prix, it was called Deconstructing Grand Prix, was my all-time favorite. That's available on YouTube. I'll put a link below. So definitely don't underestimate checking out those panels and hearing from people who did the development back in the day about their experiences. Really fascinating stuff. So loved that panel. And after the panel, I went out, I bought a boxed copy of Grand Prix, and I had Mr. Crane sign it.
Yeah.
So that's a nice piece of the collection.
Yeah.
Okay. So with that said, we're going to move into pickups.
Yes. So our all-time favorite pickups. Okay.
Ta-da! Okay, so we have all of our favorite pickups, and okay, so we've spoiled all of them, but let's talk about each of them.
Okay.
When we were thinking about what makes PRGE great for pickups, I kind of wanted to focus on what makes it special or unique about getting pickups, and so I was kind of thinking of things that are harder to find or you don't see everywhere. That for us, PRGE is local, right? So we can buy these things and then just drive them home. So things that we would get that we wouldn't be able to take on an airplane.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what makes PRGE special.
Or that are like kind of bigger that you don't necessarily want to buy on eBay because you know the shipping is going to cost so much.
Yeah, you don't trust. So the first thing I want to mention is something I got the very first year, and that is this Model 1 Sega CD. Now, I never thought I would have one of these. And I actually saw it, I think on the first... So there was a guy, he had a table of refurbished Model 1s. These have been recapped, and he was selling them. And I walked by it the first day, I'm like, no, I can't. But by the end of the second day, I was like throwing money around. I'm like, I got to get one of these. I've never seen one of these before in real life. This is awesome. He's recapped it. He was selling it with the Genesis system. And I could just carry this thing home in my trunk. I've got to get this. So that was the very first year. And in subsequent years, I've gotten a boxed Genesis and a boxed power-based converter. And that's a great thing about PRG. I can get these pieces of hardware, these box pieces of hardware that I can just carry home. So really love getting stuff like the boxed hardware.
Can we talk about the ironic thing though about this?
Sure. What is it?
Is that you didn't drive it home.
Oh, I took the train. I took it on the Max. Yeah, I took it on the local.
It anyway.
I took it on the local light rail. Yeah. But really cool to get some of these hardware items that you wouldn't be able to get maybe in many other places. The next thing is my Megaman collection. This is not something that I intended to necessarily do. When I went to our first PRGE, I had Mega Man 2. And of course I had heard about Mega Man, but I wasn't super into it. But as the years went by and we were going to these retro things, the first year I went, I got Mega Man 3. So that got me to Mega Man 2 and 3. But as the years went by, I decided maybe I will get all 6 Mega Man games for the NES. And so the ones I got at PRGE are 3, which I got the first year, 5, which I got, I think, in 2017, and I don't remember when I got 6, before 5. But 3 out of the 6 I got at PRGE, and I already had 2 from like 1997 when I got my NES. So more than half of the games came from PRGE, and it all has to do with going to these expos and seeing these games and finally deciding, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and pull the trigger and get all of the Mega Man games.
Especially if you get a good deal.
Yeah, and I got a really nice deal on Mega Man 5, I think. All right. The next group, I guess, is games that are a little bit tricky to find in the wild. Without maybe resorting to eBay, these are a little bit harder to find, and things that we have been looking for a long time. And so again, let's go to this side. I got Final Fantasy III, complete in box with maps and manual. We got that at our first PRGE. I was blown away by the stuff that I was seeing. I mean, I was used to maybe going to GameStop or retro game stores where everything was loose. You know, they didn't care about having everything complete in box. You weren't really getting the best quality. Otherwise, you were going to eBay and paying, through the nose. So I was really blown away by seeing all these complete in box things. And so when I saw Final Fantasy III, that was a game I hadn't really planned on getting, but it was in such great shape, and it's such an essential Super Nintendo game, I had to get it.
And then I got Touch the Dead for the DS. It was a game that my sister had bought years ago, and I was like, I'm going to be on the lookout for that. And I think it was a full year and a half that I looked at all the expos that we went to. And we had gone to, in 2017, we went to a lot of expos, and we couldn't find it. And then 2018, we went to a couple more and still couldn't find it. And then we were at PRGE in 2018, and our good friend Julian was there, the Latin legend, and he actually spotted it at a table and got it for me before it got scooped up. So
another hard to find. And 2 more real quick that I was really happy to get, and I'm putting them together because I got them at the same time, are Lightning Force for the Genesis, a game I didn't even know about until a few years ago, and then started looking for it and finally found it at PRGE. And Tengen Tetris, another game which I did know about but had been very expensive, and it was on my list for a while, but finally decided to pull the trigger at when I saw it for a really good condition and really good price at PRGE. So 2 more games that I never would have seen or maybe purchased otherwise that we got for a great price in good shape at PRGE. And now finally, the last group of pickups is just our number one pickups that we've gotten, our favorite pickups. Do you want to start?
Sure. So mine would be Rocket Knight Adventures. At the time that we got this, it was like the first year that Cartridge Club members were coming down to Portland, to the Portland Retro Gaming Expo. They were coming, some of our Canadian friends. And this was a Cartridge Club Game of the Month, and so I really wanted it. And I said, this is what I'm going to be looking for, right?
Yep.
And then we went to this table, I think his name is Chuck, I want to say.
Yeah.
And he was clearing his collection.
Yeah, it was his personal collection.
Yeah. And he was wheeling and dealing. And so we got a ton of stuff, and I got this for an amazing price.
Yeah, we were pretty happy with it.
Yeah.
And it's in great shape, and it's complete.
Great shape, yep. And so
it was timely.
I had it, yeah.
And it's a great game, right? It's really a beautiful game.
But, it was one of the ones I was looking for, and I'm excited that I got it for such a good deal and such a great shape. And so
for me, of course, my number one has to be Master System games. I've put two up here. Let me talk about the second one here. One of the things that I wouldn't normally have access to outside of these expos, you can do it on eBay again, but you don't see Master System games very much, let alone imports. This is an import game. I got this last year. This is maybe one of the better import games I've seen, at least for me personally. And so I was really excited to find a Master System import, complete in box. But more importantly, or more so than that, is of course the holy grail of Master System US games, and that is James Buster Douglas Boxing. This Knockout Boxing. This is a game I would have been very nervous to buy on eBay given its price. But buying it at PRGE, I got to check it out. I got to look at it. I got to test it out. I cracked open the cart and verified it before, so that in case there was a problem,
yeah, so we could
go back the next day and maybe discuss it with the vendor. So there was no problem. This is in fantastic shape, and this is what caused us to have such low purchases in 2016 because this is a little bit of a pricey game.
Yes,
but it is my favorite. My favorite pickups, of course, are getting Master System games there, and PRGE does not disappoint in that regard. So, those are some of our favorite pickups in the 6 years that we've gone to PRGE. I think we've got some really good stuff, and this only represents a small portion, right? Everything is good.
Yeah.
This only represents our favorites.
Right.
And so now, because no collection is ever really complete.
That's right. We're always looking for stuff.
We've got a wish list of things that we want to get this year. So we thought it might be fun to talk a little bit about what we're looking for this year. We did that last year. And of course the list has changed a little bit. So I'm going to jump in with, this is a little vague. I'm not going to have too many rules about strict item counts. But I, over the years, have discovered that, or we discovered it the first year, that PRGE and these expos are great places to get manuals. And we always look for manuals. We always talk about them first thing in our pickup videos. And it turns out that over the years, I've acquired some manuals without the games. I've actually just bought the manual saying, oh, this is a good manual to get. I'll get the game eventually. So one of the things I maybe want to do is look through the manuals I have and see if I'm missing the games.
Yeah.
And kind of go backwards from what I normally do and try to complete some of those manuals with the games. The other thing the next thing that I want to focus on something I've been getting into a lot lately, and that is Atari 2600. I've actually been collecting some of the third-party stuff, and over the summer when we were at Too Many Games, I kind of got into collecting telegames.
Yes, you did.
Those are the Sears telegames variants. I've updated my wish list with all the telegames games. I'd love to get some more of the telegames variants, but generally I want to get a bunch of Atari games. I'm hoping that I can scoop these things up. Atari is so fun to collect for, mostly because the prices are still pretty reasonable.
Yeah, let's hope
NES stuff has been going nutty, but Atari is so fun to collect for because you can just scoop them up for $1 or so, and there's a ton of variants to look out for. So I'm looking to do some Atari collecting at PRGE this year. Oh
my goodness. Okay, and then I want to do. There was Isabel from Animal Crossing.
Yeah.
New Leaf came out for the Smash Brothers line.
Yeah, so we just learned this.
Yes.
We have Isabelle.
Yes.
Twice over.
Yes.
But in the Animal Crossing line of Amiibo, right?
Yeah, right.
And we just learned
that there's a
Smash Brothers,
yes.
which we weren't paying attention to.
Correct.
So you've decided.
So I decided I should probably get that.
Even though we have her twice over.
I know.
We're gonna look for, and she's hard to find.
And we're not really collecting the Smash Brother line.
No.
But
not anymore. But this is sort of a weird completion thing for you.
Yes, and it's hard too because we bought all the Animal Crossing ones and then they totally discounted all of them. So it's like, well, is this, will she eventually be deep discounted because she's Animal Crossing?
No.
Probably not because she's the Smash Brothers line.
Yeah.
So I'm going to look and see how much she costs and maybe I'll pick her up.
All right. So another thing I want to look for is PAL SMS games. I mentioned Forgotten World. I have a complete U.S. collection now, so it's time to start looking overseas. What are some of the games that were released in other territories, not in the U.S., and start building up that collection. I'm reluctant to buy those things on eBay for import reasons or whatever, so I'm hoping that some of the vendors will have some in stock, and I'll just be able to see them and pick them up.
Scoop them up.
Speaking of import games, I've also recently had a hankering to play Famicom.
Oh boy.
Get into Famicom.
Here we go.
Collecting. But I don't have any means for playing Famicom. So I was looking at different ways to maybe play Famicom and generally maybe get better video quality out of a NES system. So something that can play NES games and Famicom and has better video out like HDMI or RGB, that would be great. So I was doing some research and I learned that there is a device called the RetroABS. And the company that manufactures it often comes to PRGE. So I am hoping this year that I can go see their booth and maybe buy one of these. It's an NES clone, but it can play NES and Famicom cartridges, and it has, I think, HDMI out. So I'm maybe going to bite the bullet on a clone system and get a way to play some of those Famicom games and then start collecting Famicom.
And then you're going to start collecting. Oh my goodness.
So that's that's very high on my list.
Yikes. Okay.
And you've got one more.
I got one more. All right. I also wanted to get this Splatoon controller for the Switch.
The Pro controller?
The Pro controller. That's what I couldn't think. Pro. Yeah. Yes. And we didn't get it. I don't even know.
It came out years ago when Splatoon came out, and it came and went.
It kind of came and went, and I was like, well, maybe we can get it like at a sale, like a little sale or something. But then it went before sale. So I like you. I only want to buy new controllers. A lot of times you see them, but they're used. So I'm gonna look, and we'll see.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to bite the bullet on the price.
Yeah, it's gonna be high.
But I don't know. Maybe I'll splurge.
You looked last year. I mean, it was on your list last year.
Yeah.
We didn't see it, did we?
I think we saw a used one.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. And then my final thing is a new thing that kind of was low on the list, but it's kind of bubbled up, and that is the Atari Force comics. I bought, years ago, I got a Star Raiders at some expo, maybe PRGE, I don't remember. I don't think it was. I think it was at Midwest Gaming Classic. I got Star Raiders, and it came with an Atari Force comic, number 3. And then over the summer, when we were at Too Many Games, I happened to come across a loose copy of Atari Force number 2. And then a few months ago, a friend of ours, a coworker of ours, got me a complete in-box copy of Defender, which came with Atari Force number 1.
Yes.
So since that time, I'm thinking, well, there are 5 of these.
Yeah, so now you only need 2.
And I only need 2 of the comics, but in addition to that, I think what I'm going to do is collect the boxes. Collect them complete in box. So there's 5 complete in box. There's 5 games that came with Atari Force. They are in order: Defender, Berserk, Star Raiders, Phoenix, and Galaxian. Now I have the loose cartridges for all these. But if I can find the boxes, especially the boxes that indicate that they have Atari Force, and get those comics, that's a neat subset that I might like. Those 5 games in boxes with the comic. I think I'm going to go for that. So that made it to the number. I think that's a neat subset collection to go for. So I'm gonna shoot for looking for that at PRGE this year. They may have it. They sell boxes and all kinds of stuff. So
and you usually don't look at like Atari complete
box stuff. No,
like,
but I will.
I don't need that. But now.
But I will for these 5. So I know the names of the games.
Okay.
I know what I'm looking for. So that should be a lot of fun looking for that this year. So that's it. That's our best of PRGE. It's coming up in just the next week. We're really excited about it. And hopefully this video gets you excited about it too. And we'll see you there, I hope.
Yeah, if you see us, come say hi.
That's right.
All right, if you enjoyed the video, like us and subscribe.